Ukrainian officials say the eastern Donetsk and Kharkiv regions are coming under heavy fire as Russian President Vladimir Putin toasts the targeted infrastructure strikes in Ukraine, asking who started it.
Right now, there's been a lot of uproar about our attacks on the energy infrastructure of our neighboring country. Yes, we're doing it, but who started it? Who hit the Crimean bridge? Who blew up the power lines from the Kursk nuclear power plant? Who isn't supplying water to Donetsk? Not supplying water to a city with more than 1 million people is an act of genocide. No one has ever said a word about that. Total silence. But as soon as we move and do something in response, they scream and shout to the whole universe. This will not interfere with our combat missions.
Will Ripley, live in Kyiv, Ukraine. Who started it? A remarkable comment delivered casually in that grand, opulent room with a glass of champagne in hand. What do you make of it?
Look, this is typical Putin, Christine. He has an echo chamber of yes men around him who have basically enabled his justification of this brutal and unprovoked war, which began with his invasion of Ukraine for the pure reason that he was concerned about the expansion of NATO. Ukraine is not anywhere near becoming a part of NATO. There are many hurdles that this country, before the war, had to overcome in order for that to even be considered. And yet, look, he illegally annexed Crimea back in 2014. I was here after that happened. And now, once again, he's trying to take territory that is Ukrainian national territory. They have sovereignty. This is recognized by the international community. The only person who doesn't recognize it, essentially, is Vladimir Putin and that echo chamber of yes men. And so for him to stand there and flippantly refer to the explosion at the Crimean bridge 2 months ago, which then Russia used as an excuse to start a series of horrific strikes on the civilian power infrastructure here that have plunged millions of people into darkness and cold. And now, of course, with the official start of winter later this month, the cold is going to get worse, and the strikes he is promising will continue. It is indicative of the fact that he is not living in the reality that is shared by certainly NATO and its allies and much of the Western world, but much of the world in general. Even his proclaimed, good friend, Chinese President Xi Jinping, while not condemning the invasion, certainly is not condoning it, certainly has expressed questions about it. But Putin, despite all of the pushback, continues to just stand there, champagne glass in hand, and justify his brutal actions, Christine.
Will, he is quite literally toasting the bombing of infrastructure that is plunging millions of people into misery for the winter, making his neighbor miserable. He's quite literally toasting that. I think that just tells us everything we need to know about Vladimir Putin and his leadership and this war. All right, Will Ripley, thank you so much. Nice to see you.